Your family deserves the most beautiful smile possible. At Tupelo Smiles, we use precision dentistry and advanced technology to make visiting the dentist an amazing experience. Relationship-based comprehensive care. Come discover the difference at Tupelo Smiles.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, hello there. Rain is falling, but is it accumulating in a significant way? That is the question, or maybe the desire for some folks. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon, and you're watching Mississippi Live Weather at 5. We'll talk to our meteorologist Gabe Maynor here in a minute, but the storyline here in the Room to Room Weather Center is at least there's a little bit of rain out there, and the showers will continue overnight. And in fact, the heaviest could still be ahead for many locations. The Delta has seen the heaviest to this point here. We'll look at some of the rainfall that has occurred in a couple of moments. We're drying up, though, right on time for some of the football games, especially tomorrow, though we do have some community college football this evening that has some showers around associated with that. We're hopeful, though, that we're mainly dry for SEC football as well. And, of course, appreciate the good folks at Carl Hogan for sponsoring our SEC football forecast. We will look at that in a couple of minutes as well. It's slightly warmer weekend ahead. Of course, when you start dialing back the rain chances, that helps you to dial up the temperatures a little bit. The opposite of that obviously occurring right now in Batesville, where it shows 68 degrees as of 5:01, 5:02 now here, with that mix of cloud cover that we have out there at this time. Fairly humid, and those showers, of course, producing some meaningful rainfall there. Aberdeen, also 68, also cloudy, but you have better visibility because more of that rain struggling to make it to the surface here. Of course, that shield of cloud cover we've had all day long and the sprinkles that are trying to make their way in. As we look at the first 12, 50% that rain coverage at 6 p.m. this evening. Still about 50% by 9 o'clock with 67 degrees. That temperature was 64 by midnight and 62 by 3 o'clock in the morning. But notice that percentage coverage of rainfall decreasing into tomorrow. Some of those showers shifting southward. Still could be heavy. So don't want to imply that these are not going to be heavy as we head into the overnight hours, but certainly most likely to be heaviest for locations central Mississippi and west Mississippi. And you can see rainfall totals over the last 24 hours here have been decent in some locations. Go back out into Arkansas and I show 4 or more inches, but for parts of north and west Mississippi, the rainfall amounts have been a little less impressive. Do have that little stripe of moisture there that does extend back toward Little Rock of around 2 inches of rainfall, but a lot of other locations, let's be honest, I guess here at the Lawpon and Maynor household, we take more than that trace that we have there, so it shouldn't be sliding any of the rain because we certainly have needed it with the drought conditions that have expanded. New drought monitor out today. We will look ahead at that coming up a little later this evening as well. But heaviest rainfall has been to the west to this point. Looking at Mississippi Live Weather Radar at this point here, we do have this moisture extending back toward around Hernando where we have some of the moderate rainfall. But when you start looking at this, the rainfall rates remain relatively limited here. So I'm going to bring those on here for a moment. Again, rainfall rates give us how quickly they're falling and really honestly how intense it would be over an extended period of time. Still kind of focus back there. But when you have anything that's less than the greens, that tells you this is a pretty light, consistent sort of rainfall as opposed to something more significant. But switches over to our radar site back in the Memphis area. It does a better job kind of capturing the overall look of what we have here. And looking at the loop over the last hour or so, actually I'm going to go a 3-hour loop on this one here. You can see we've had this kind of general stripe of moisture that has continued. And if I just draw kind of the northern and southern bounds of that for a moment, you can see an expansion on the northward side there starting to show up. But again, a lot of this is really, really light, and the majority of this isn't making it to the ground. We'd have to go and look back farther west, closer to the Searcy, Arkansas, back toward Pine Bluff, locations in that direction. That's where the rainfall is the heaviest. We'll look wider and we'll come back in on that here in just a moment. Edinburgh coming in about 66 degrees. Again, humidity 100%. You have more showers around. I always like when you get the transpiration out of the trees. You see, it always kind of looks like the fingers of fog lifting out of it. That's the moisture being emitted from the trees there. Kind of a cool shot there in Edinburgh at 66. The temperature there, pretty common number, 66 in Greenville. Temperatures have kind of been held down by these showers in most cases today. Not a lot of that meaningful rainfall making it to the ground there at this time. So much wider shot here shows the overall pattern. We do have this storm system, this low pressure center that we have back out there for Texas. Gabe, I'm gonna have you zoom this in for me here just a little bit closer. As you can kind of see that general warm front we have stretching there closer from Dallas toward Oklahoma City. The moisture kind of riding over the top of that. But if you, and I'm gonna get to this side, probably a better example of that. You can see just the overall angle that this is taking here is shifting the heaviest of this in that zone there that's gonna stretch closer to Tupelo, really southward toward Jackson. There'll be a zone in there where somebody overnight and into tomorrow picks up 3 or more inches of rainfall. That's why there is at least still a flooding rainfall threat for some locations in that zone as we look over the next 24 hours here. So let's look at Futurecast here for a moment. Again, the next big wave kind of moving in from the north and west. You could see at 7:30 or so, mainly moderate variety rainfall. Anything time you have the greens there, less than the yellows, it's just kind of the lighter to maybe moderate rainfall. But we do have some locations back to the west, showing up there back toward Drew and Greenville and back out here into southern Arkansas. This is where we'll have more thunderstorms. And I referenced that forecast for Northeast Mississippi Community College as they're playing down there for locations in Decatur tonight. More of that activity is kind of heading that direction, more of the heaviest sort of rainfall there as well. So we'll widen things back for a moment. You can see for locations up here around Corinth, up toward Boonville, you're still like, where's my rainfall? As we talked about last night, again, the main flooding rainfall threat south of you, and certainly that's where the rainfall has set up more effectively today and will continue into the overnight hours as well. Winona, Kosciuszko back closer to the Golden Triangle. But notice how we have this zone. That went from around 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. there, and we have these storms starting to intensify somewhat. That tends to happen sometimes overnight as we get the winds closer to the surface, but not at the surface, that ride over top of these fronts. And so that's kind of enhancing the potential we'll have some thunderstorms here, and that's where some of that flash flooding potential does come overnight, is if you get these thunderstorms to develop south of Dumas, south there of Greenville and Kosciuszko, Meridian, Canton, back toward the Jackson area. That's where, I mean, it wouldn't be at all shocking to have 3 or 4 inches of rainfall. This training sets up for those folks there. But you can see by 8 a.m., the majority of our main coverage area up here in the northern part of Mississippi and Alabama, lesser quantities of rainfall, obviously south. There are concerns for flooding closer to central Mississippi. Make sure to have that Mississippi Live Weather radar as well as Mississippi Live Weather app to make sure you're ahead of any issues related to that. Over the next 24 hours, from 61 at tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., rain coverage at 30%, diminishing through the day. Certainly southern portion of the area most likely to have the main impacts there. We're 68 by 9 a.m., 79 degrees by noontime, and into the 80s by tomorrow afternoon, assuming a little bit more sunshine. I always kind of laugh, and this is just one of the ways in which we put this together, but these pictures, we call them icons, when they show the sunshine on a day like today or like 9 a.m. tomorrow, there's not going to be much sunshine tomorrow. The cloud cover fairly thick at that point in time, and I think a good chunk of the day, maybe not as cloudy as the last couple of days have been, but still a lot of cloud cover, and that 83 still below normal for this time of the year. But temperatures are starting to increase somewhat more as we go into this upcoming weekend. We have the very latest, of course, on your forecast heading into the Labor Day holiday, so getting you ready for whatever you're planning to do this weekend. Of course, the Carl Hogan SEC football forecast we'll have for you in a couple minutes, as well as your Friday night football forecast as a Mississippi Live Weather at 5 continues in 60 seconds right after this.
At Room to Room, did you know our specialty is custom ordered upholstery? Get the furniture you want and the fabric and color selection you want. With our free design service, we won't let you make a mistake.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 5. What we're tracking across the region is just those mostly cloudy conditions, and weather watchers in full force, not just in Mississippi, but both the Twin States showcasing those cloudy conditions. Smith Lake in Alabama, I remember riding these waters back when we lived in Alabama, so this is definitely an enjoyable day to get out on the water. If it was dry, for folks in Alabama, it was dry. Mississippi, a little bit different. Probably not the best day to get out on the water. This is what we are seeing in Union County, and you can see that there is that cloud cover, but a little bit of those rays of sunshine trying to peek through the clouds and warm up our atmosphere just a bit, but that does not go for everybody. I mean, we have seen pretty uniform conditions all throughout our Thursday. Getting a live look there in Adenton showcases those cloudy conditions still highlighting our forecast, and that humidity right at 100% shows you that this is a soggy forecast where the stratus clouds blanket the sky and those isolated showers continue to pop up. Adenton kind of on the outskirts of that as of this point, but there is some hope for some more rain chances further into our evening. I'm in Caledonia. You still see those raindrops there on the camera, still falling as well. So it is going to be that soggy forecast for some. Like Matt was saying, the Casa de Manor and Casa de Lavhan, whole different story. It has been, I got a sprinkle. Did you get a sprinkle?
On my windshield.
There you go. Well, hey, we count that. We count that.
Oh, I need more than that. No, we do not count that. Yeah, the water bill, I was out there watering. The water bill does not count that.
You're right. You're right.
Sorry. I'm done editorializing.
There's your trace amounts of rainfall.
Yeah.
But 68 degrees in Caledonia. The fortunate thing with this soggy forecast is temperature-wise, I mean, we have been phenomenal all day long, well below average, and those continue to be in place. This is a great shot there in Rolling Fork, 85 degrees. Is this a live image out of that?
I think so.
Wow.
You want me to see if I can pan it?
Yeah, see real quick, because that is an incredible shot.
Okay.
It is live. It just updated.
Yeah. So
Golly.
it's live. Isn't that cool? All the different cloud layers.
The thing that was really getting me right now was the temperature. I mean, look at the difference. It was 68.
Warm front.
And then 85 in Rolling Fork, and that's about 5 counties away. And so it's just going to be warm the further south and west you go, like Matt was mentioning, associated with that warm front. But elsewhere, especially where that moisture is residing, I mean, that's where we're seeing the mid to upper 60s as of this point. So Mississippi Live Weather Radar showcases those showers. I mean, we're trying to move through the Tupelo area, but I mean, we're not overly high on those rain chances. A lot of those still going to be light in nature. The heaviest section still out there towards Shelby, DeWitt, Arkansas, and Dumas, Arkansas, transitioning over the state line, and we are hopeful that those will continue to produce some more of those showers here in North Mississippi. As we bring it back to our radar there in Monroe County, we can get a better idea of what's happening. And like we said, very light stuff falling in Tupelo right now, so fingers crossed that increases in strength just a bit, because we need rainfall, like I mentioned. But the further south you go, the better the rain chances become, and that'll really kick in overnight. Some of those rainfall totals, I mean, we'll just populate this here real quick, showing us 7 inches just outside of Little Rock and even right in the heart of Little Rock as well. So I know a few meteorologists over there that were a little bit busier today. 6 inches there towards Dumas. And as that line, you can definitely see a clear-cut line, moves into southwest Mississippi or southwest part of our viewing area, that's where Greenwood, Cleveland, Greenville, susceptible to some of that flash flooding. So something we are tracking in that extended forecast, but hopeful that that line expands just a bit and we get some of those showers here on the northeast side of the state as well. So your school bus forecast, pickup going to be about 30% chance of rainfall. Those chances primarily for folks down south. Further north you go, the drier the forecast becomes. So 61 degrees is where we have it, but have that rain gear ready just in case. Drop off, hey, we're heading into the weekend. So this will be the last drop off of this week, and so we are going to enjoy a fantastic forecast, and like Matt was mentioning, drying up right on time. Let's walk through Futurecast overnight, and there's where you see some of those heavier sections moving into the Mississippi Delta by 7. I think we're transitioning those a little bit further north than what they actually are, unfortunately. So I do have a lot of those best chances for rainfall further down there towards Greenwood, Cleveland, and Grenada, and further south and west as we head further into that forecast. Just right along that warm front like we've been mentioning. 9 p.m., 10 p.m., those chances still lingering in that forecast, and those heaviest sections, wouldn't be surprised to hear a few rumbles of thunder with those reds popping up around Greenwood and Chula and Hollandale. That line really becoming more apparent as we head towards that 2 and 3 o'clock hour. But you notice the north side of the state. What's happening up here? Well, what's happening is that northern wind is starting to bring in some of that drier air and shifting a lot of that moisture down south. So we're actually going to see not just drier conditions, but even some clear conditions heading into the start of our Friday morning. There you see, pretty clear cut right there where that frontal boundary is keeping the moisture and that transition. A tale of two forecasts, right? So low temperatures, of course, where it's going to be a lot of that moisture, mid-60s expected, still below average, but it gets even better the further north and east you go due to that drier air moving in place. We have upper 50s Boonville, Iuka, Red Bay, 60 around Tupelo, and 61 there towards Houston. So there are some perks to that drier forecast. Unfortunately, we just need that rainfall. And of course, we'll take a look at that drought monitor coming up tonight at 6 to the very latest on that drought monitor forecast. So Friday morning, starting out with some of those soggier conditions down south of Highway 82. That's where the best chances remain for some of those pop-up showers, but those chances diminishing as the day goes on. So we're not going to see that widespread rainfall like what we had today, but as that warm front recedes and heads down there towards those coastal regions, takes a lot of those rain chances with it. Carrying this over into our afternoon forecast, I think we're a bit ambitious on how high or how far north we're getting with these showers. A lot of the model runs keeping it further to the south. This is one of our more aggressive models and some of that rainfall circulating through. So this is 4 or 5 o'clock. Some of those still trying to wrap around. But this is, not the expectation going forward. And I'll tweak this model for our 6 o'clock show because that's definitely giving some false hope to folks for rain chances tomorrow. High temperatures, low 80s across the region where that moisture resides, not climbing too much. We talked about that uniform distribution of heat. And so we're only going to be upper 70s there for southwest sections of our viewing area. Heat indices do showcase that drier air still in place. So it is going to be a comfortable forecast for any of our Friday afternoon plans or really for our Friday football plans. So you notice I said that model was very aggressive. Well, we use one of our other short-range models, and that showcases dry conditions by Friday around 8 p.m. So this is the expectation, just drying up as the day goes on and those chances diminishing a bit more. You also see clearer skies than what we're going to be getting earlier on in the day, and that's a result of some of that drier air being pushed in through the northerly wind. So heading through the night, it should stay dry, so perfect for football games, like we said, drying up right on time, but then Saturday morning starting off with those drier conditions as well. Now Saturday, you see where the winds are coming from, northeast. And so that's going to really bring in some of that drier air. So we're not overly high on those rain chances, especially as that system has already pushed it towards the south and now at this point southeast. So the best rain chances actually behind me towards Alabama. Here in North Mississippi, staying on the drier side for the start of our weekend. So those 20% chances we were talking about yesterday, it basically dissolved away. There could be a pop-up shower, but most of us staying dry all day long. Perfect for week 1 of college football. Might even get to take those tailgates outside to just enjoy it. Ole Miss, hey, you guys are in the Grove, so that's a great forecast for it. Saturday afternoon, temperature-wise, mid to upper 80s, a result of some of those clearer conditions, allowing that sunshine to get to the surface. And those heat indices, we're talking mid 80s. So it's right around that same value, so it is going to be still that comfortable forecast. So Friday, those moderate showers continue to linger for the start of the day. But again, chances diminishing as the day goes on. Saturday and Sunday, those drier conditions. And then Monday, Tuesday, that's our next best chances of rainfall, even seeing a few thunderstorms mixed in right there. Now the temperatures, they are going to be on a slight warming trend, mid 80s expected for your Saturday and Sunday. Those linger into parts of next week, but we are still in the thick of summer, so we're not saying that summer's over, but we'll take as many of these cooler days as we can get. Now we do have our forecast, our football forecast for games ahead, and we're going to start with that Ole Miss game because it is going to be right here in Mississippi, our only local game heading into this weekend. Ole Miss taking on Georgia State Saturday at 6:45 p.m. Hey, a night game. I know when I was in college, that was one of my favorite things ever. So I know that's the case for a lot of folks as well. First play, 83 degrees, but diminishing as we head through the night. It's not jacket weather, but 70 degrees will definitely be comfortable as you're having that final snap and hopefully celebrating. Again, I say I'm not forecasting a win, but it is an expectation with Georgia State. Let's go into that next game, Mississippi State. I wish I could say the same about my Bulldogs, but the expectations are, let's have fun. And so looking at that forecast.
I'm a Kansas fan, and I got to step in here. They're a little more than that for Mississippi State, but go ahead.
Kansas is on a better trajectory right now than Mississippi State.
You have not been a Kansas fan long enough to understand how that could go.
I started in 08 when it was a prime year.
Yeah, so
Orange
anyway.
Bowl champions.
Yeah, I still went to that one. Anyway, go ahead.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did go to the Orange Bowl. Because that year, I knew that Kansas would never be in a BCS Bowl game again. Good prediction. But they ended up winning the national championship that year. It was 07 into 08.
Anyway.
That
could have been the start of your analyst career.
Huh?
Like being an ESPN analyst right there.
I don't know.
And tell them that you forecasted that.
If you'd been around long enough. Anyway, I'll let you keep going on that. But if you've been around long enough, you know there's a lot of bad years in Kansas past.
Well, fingers crossed that Mississippi State gets a better trajectory. And what better way than week 1 against Southern Miss? It is going to be, we'll call it the Puddle Bowl, because it's going to be filled with showers all day long. That rainfall transitioning further to the south, and Hattiesburg right in the heart of that. And so those chances very high. So have that rain gear ready if you're traveling to cheer on the Bulldogs. But if you're traveling down towards Tallahassee, Alabama taking on Florida State, those chances even lingering in that forecast as that system transitions a little bit more to the southeast, right in the heart of Tallahassee there for your Saturday afternoon. So Saturday at 2:30, not going to see the blue skies like the picture depicts. It's going to be more of that rainy forecast. 80 degrees first place, 79 by halftime, and 81 final snap. Not too bad for a Florida forecast when it comes to the temperatures, but it is just your typical Florida pattern where it's going to be a saturated sky. So hopefully this kind of clears on out just a bit and allows the Crimson Tide to take on the Seminoles in a great football game, great week 1 start to the season. And again, I just want to say that we are so grateful to partner with Carl Hogan Toyota and making these SEC forecasts possible for you guys to know your game days a little bit better. But Matt, it's going to be a soggy forecast tonight, a soggy forecast heading overnight and into our Friday. But we, of course, are walking through those showers in more detail coming up tonight at 6.
Did we have the high school football forecast in there?
You know, I don't think I dragged it in. Let's put that in there real quick.
Okay, hold on. Let's get that in here for a second. That is, I don't know about you, but I'm excited for that season to kick off here. Give me a second.
Well,
Put that in there.
and we can do our shameless, not shameless plug of we're going to be in Pontotoc tomorrow night.
I know. Oh, I guess I muted my own microphone. Yeah, we'll be there for the game of the week. I mean, that's exciting stuff, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to actually, if you want to walk through this forecast, because you're going to be experiencing this right in the heart of Pontotoc tomorrow evening.
Yeah, I'll be there in Pontotoc tomorrow evening. You'll be back here in the Room to Room Weather Center. I mean, I'm just excited that football is back. It's one of my favorite things that I enjoy doing is going down to these football games. And we've had some of those band and cheerleaders of the week, those things that we'll give you the opportunity to vote on here as that's coming up tomorrow, as we'll be kind of getting into that there. But yeah, we're going to be out live in Pontotoc at 5 and 6 o'clock for our game of the week. And we just hope to see you out there and just thank everyone so much for kind of the excitement we've had on social media over the course of this week here as we look ahead. But it's going to be a much drier day than if it was today. Thankfully, that kind of worked out well. I know we do have a couple of games around the region that are occurring tonight. There's obviously community college football tonight. But Gabe, obviously things are looking good for tomorrow. I mean, anytime we're a pregame temperature of 78 to start.
Late August too, might I add.
You know, it's usually heat advisories, excessive heat warnings. So we got lucky this time around.
Yeah, usually the wet weather isn't coming from the sky. It's actually coming from our heads, from sweat. So fortunately, that's
that is
not
a good way
the
to put
case.
it.
Not the case for our forecast tomorrow. So Matt, you're going to be experiencing great conditions, and so will everyone across North Mississippi as a lot of that moisture pushes more towards the south.
Okay, I'm going to do my thing where I make you defend something here. Let's go back. One of the things when we were talking through this, you were not having the rainfall that the HRRR model had on there for Friday. Talk me through your arguments against, because you're like, this is way too aggressive.
We'll push it out and we'll see exactly why. So the low that we're watching, that the swarm front is attached to, is driving further to the south. You can kind of see that trajectory south and east. So this frontal boundary, I mean, this is having it oriented just a bit more towards the north, further away from that warm front. Whenever this happens, it's hard to believe the chances of this still being intact. That's nearly 200 miles away. And so whenever you're talking about that warm front is kind of your lifting mechanism in this scenario, with that moisture pushing in and having that lift associated with it. Taking the lift away, I mean, it makes for some cloudy skies, but it also makes for a drier forecast. So
it's basically the warm air kind of overrunning the front. You're thinking that's running a little too far ahead.
I mean, 200 miles, it's a little bit out of the question, especially the fact that we're getting some of those northern winds that are also pushing in. So you're fighting an already uphill battle, and now you have an enemy that's trying to prevent you from doing it as well. So it's that interaction that's happening basically right over North Mississippi. So chances, Jackson, Meridian, I mean, I definitely expect those showers to linger in that forecast, but Lafayette and Panola County at 4 p.m. on your Friday.
It's aggressive. You're not inaccurate about that. That's kind of aggressive. It just caught my ear, and I know some folks at home were probably like, whoa. Why are we poo-pooing all over the model there? But yeah, I mean, it is aggressive. That's for sure.
Well, and our other short range model, which is usually the more aggressive one, we transition to that, and it's a night and day forecast. And so it kind of takes those steps back just a bit. And are you going to try and pull up some of those other short range models?
I could. I mean,
Because we have NAM 3K that we could look at too, which is also an aggressive model. But I mean, just putting these all head to head, it can help us get the best idea possible. But looking at this behind the scenes, I just do not believe that it's going to verify.
Yeah, I think you're there with that. I'll see if I can connect this across the network here so I can drive it from over on this spot here. So let me bring it over here to our monitor for a second, is kind of try to bring this up for a second in our room-to-room weather center. Yeah, let's look at a couple of those other projections. I think we'll probably do a more intense, deep dive into this coming up during our 6 o'clock broadcast. So I'm going to bring up what we call NAM. You mentioned the NAM 3K. That's not a bad 3K. Nope. And see here. Let's try this one here for a second. So give me a moment to just sort of break you already have it. You don't have it in your workspace. So let me bring it over and let's take a look, and this will have some pops and other things with this as well. And so this is kind of what you're talking about. Most of the showers, as we look toward tomorrow, are primarily south. This is 11:30 or so, and as we go into and through the day, you'll notice the showers, again, primarily southern portion of the area. Whereas, when we were looking at this just a moment ago on that other high resolution model, give me a moment for this to kind of bring in the ability to telestrate on this for a second.
Well,
all your precipitation was kind of way up here. You mentioned Lafayette County. It was kind of up on this north side there. So that is a pretty substantial difference between the two. Yeah, go ahead, Gabe.
I was going to say, okay, so, and this is really where I verified it, because I was looking at the HRRR model to kind of verify some of those projections. Mm-hmm. It is not lining up with what the model run is showing us on the system that we use. Like the 18Z run is not lining up with that, and it does have those chances further to the south.
Well, let's hack our way through this.
And it's probably user error in putting the wrong model.
It might not be. But give me a minute here to get rid of that out of our system. Let's pull up the one that you talked about a moment ago, and let's double check the model data in there. A second, takes a second to kind of populate in. That's why you're showing 6Z through your 18Z model.
I was about to say, because
that would be a very
correct.
good reason why. Hold on, so let's force it to fix it.
I was not about to give up on my HRRR model that quickly.
I know.
Because it usually never fails is a stretch.
Well,
but
no,
gives us
it's usually
a
little bit better than that. 18Z. Okay, so I think everything is. So this is your updated, more realistic look on that there. Okay, so go for it, Gabe.
I mean, do you want to do it right here?
Sure.
Okay, well, I mean, let's just go through our Friday morning. So you already see those chances further off there towards the south, that northeast flow really starting to push in. It's actually over here. I can say it real quick.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so you can clearly see there's a difference on the way this is showing. I mean, the sheer quantity of rainfall, much more substantial down to the south.
Yeah, and so this is going to stick around towards lunchtime, and it's still very isolated in nature, and a lot of that stuff, it's kind of what we're seeing over Tupelo right now, that light in nature.
Where it just doesn't add up to a lot.
Yeah, it's a trace. It's those sprinkles on the windshield.
So this is that moment where I go, remember a couple days ago where I was like, are you sure I'm going to get that rainfall to Casa de Lobondo?
I was wishful thinking.
I know, but some locations have seen 2 to 3 inches of rainfall out in the Delta, and you're probably talking about 3 to 4 more. It's just where did that area line up? And largely to this point, the more significant and flooding rainfall is looking more like it's going to be in this zone here. So luckily, just out of our area, not very lucky for the folks in that zone. Of course, watching closely Kosciuszko and Greenville for you, depending on how that lines up.
And that's where you enter the debate. The debate here recently has been do you prefer hot, do you prefer cold? Well, the debate in this scenario is, do you want the rainfall if it results in flooding, or do you want it to stay dry?
I've got some trees that are dying pretty well. Like, I mean, I don't want flooding, but man, if we could get something else, that certainly would make a difference.
And so that's the risk factor you got to take with this certain system, is that if you are in the area where there's the most significant moisture, I mean, you're writing up some of those, not percentages, but some of those totals to where their possibility of flooding is increased.
Yeah, absolutely. So a reminder, of course, you can get the latest on the Mississippi Live weather wherever you're at in the app there, free and available for all those different devices. And then we got a lot of stuff on the screen, sometimes hard to read. That's why those QR codes are so important in this situation there. And our next live broadcast is 6 o'clock. We might be doing a little less debating then, but that's only, 32 minutes away. Appreciate all of you guys who have watched through the 28 minutes of this broadcast here. Next live one at 6, then 10. And of course, Maggie doing a fantastic job in the morning. You can check her out for the very latest information, 6:30, 7, and 7:30 a.m. We'll be back in about 31-ish minutes for Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Laupon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Laupon has proven himself trustworthy.